Yes, it's been a little while. I never gave up on you. Never gave up on you. So, well, I'll do a pain update. So, some things have changed since last time. Spending a lot of time on my glutes, pelvis, legs, low back. It's really bad in there. And my full body still has lots of tension, and I'm far from. Well, I'm not able to do much of anything still, but it is getting easier. It's just still really bad. But I worked a lot on my pelvis, glutes, legs. There's still more to go in there. Quite a bit more, I think. But the next few months should be good in terms of that kind of progress, in terms of standing up like a normal person and not feeling like I'm stuck. But I feel like it's starting to hit my face. I have dental abscesses that I'm trying to get fixed. But I'm now having pain down here. I haven't had pain in my mouth in a long time, and I believe that it's because I can't feel it because of all the other pain that I feel. So now that I've been through this horrible, horrible battle of severe chronic pain, and I'm not done, but now that I've been almost 4 years. Well, it's been longer than that, but almost 4 years of me being consciously aware of what's happening, like giving my attention to it instead of just pushing through things, focusing on other things and letting the body do what it does. I'm listening to the body and trying to figure out what's going on, trying to find the patterns and solve them. Trial and error style. So, I'm starting to feel pain in my jaw, just kind of partially released, like some tension in there. And that brought new sensation to the lower teeth, and there's pain in there. And this upper right is really bad. I mean, I can tell right here, touching, it goes like all the way up above my eye, all the way up here, just by lightly touching it. But it doesn't hurt. There's no pain, but I suspect that I don't feel pain, possibly because the tooth is dead, but also because the connective tissue in my face is fucked up, as well as a lot of my body here. So I can't, from a medical perspective, I can't easily explain based on the information that I've seen, which is very not a lot and very incomplete. But I can conceptualize it myself, with my own working theory. So I think my body's just fucked up. I think I don't know why this happened, but I suspect it has been here for a long time. And it needs to go away. I suspect that I was ignoring it for a very long time because I was anxious about a lot of other things, and that is the priority. Working through my anxiety, my body was still deteriorating, and the more stress I had, the worse for the body. So I think that, you know, taking it one day at a time and trying to really go deep and figure out what's happening is kind of showing me a picture here. And it's, you know, I don't know if I can beat this, right? It's been a very long time. And, you know, I mean, I guess I would be happy to function normally without a lot of interference pain-wise. And but my posture is stuck wrong, and it's been stuck wrong for a long time, so it starts to fucking shape me, you know, and I'm constantly fighting against it. And it would be better to just fix it. So yeah, it's just stretching the body, stretching the connective tissue, really working that stuff. And it is really stubborn and really slow. And you have to keep coming back to these spots. And but it does stretch. You know, eventually you do get to the spot. You do get a stretch out of a certain area that helps bring relief from pain in that area. And yeah, the body is like the worse this gets, the it's like exponential in terms of the amount of suffering that is. I mean, your ability to think, your ability to process your own thoughts, your ability to recall your short-term memory, even, let alone, well, I don't know, your memory at all, really, is impaired because the body is processing, or the body is dealing with the pain. It's trying to correct it, but it can't. They have to be manually corrected. It has to be consciously manually corrected. I have to go hunting for these spots. I have to stretch these spots. And if I do not, it does not fix it by itself, but it tries to. It, you know, the body has its own way of compensating. There's always some kind of little balance game going on. But it runs out of space when too much is stuck. You have too much stiffening, and the mobility is restricted, and you try to do something and you irritate things, and you can't get out of it. It's like being stuck in your own body. But stretching will resolve the issue. The problem is it's not overnight. It's a longer battle, and you know, constantly asking your body to do things that it's not really good at doing is not really a good option. I mean, the people will say exercise, you know, you want to get the body to adapt, and you do, but you want it to adapt in a way that will solve your problem. And it's really the restriction and range of motion is because the wrong things are doing the wrong things. You know, the connective tissue works better the way it's engineered, and everything works together through your nervous system, which sends the signals, communications. That's how I conceptualize it. I don't actually know the engineering of the body. That would help me to know that, probably. But yeah, I have still lots of problems with my back and my everything. My head, my head has to move. My whole torso has to move, and my glutes have to come out. Pelvis has to rotate a little bit. That way, can't get it, but it will move eventually. That'll be a good day. But what happens? My battle is similar patterns. It's like first thing is I have to hunt for the spots that I think need the attention the most today, right? Each day. I have to, kind of move around and try, where I find stuck spots that are really bad. And I have to kind of play around with them and just feel what it does when I contract the muscles in the area. And contracting the muscles is a stretch and an activation at the same time. You're asking your body to fire in that area, getting signals in that area. And you get blood flow in the area too when you squeeze it and release. But it also stretches the tissue. If you haven't been stretching it, it's, contracting it will help. When I first started doing this, right, it wouldn't fire at all. So I would be thinking about contracting my leg or wherever. It didn't matter. And I could not feel anything. I had no sensation that it was like it was like I couldn't communicate with my own muscles anymore. And that's scary. It's like really deeply scary to feel that. It's like, oh my God, I'm gone. I'm not in control. I can't get out of this. The thoughts are there, even though I'm under lots of pain. The thoughts are there, but the ability to, just like feel your own muscle is just gone. It's like I can't even get it to twitch or fire or anything. And it was like weeks, months, and the first problem I had is I couldn't breathe because my diaphragm was so tight. My stomach was so tight it got all the way up high into my diaphragm, and I was all rounded and stuck. And I could breathe, but not very well. I couldn't open up. It would just close up on me. I was like, oh, this is bad. I'm getting shallow breaths. And of course I couldn't sleep, and I still can't sleep. My sleep is still impaired 4 years into this. So you need to be able to sleep to get adequate recovery from things. So impairing that is not good. But what happens is when you are stretching, what happens is you have to keep doing it even if you can't feel it. In the beginning, if you can't feel it, you still want to kind of search for the range of motion restrictions. Go by the pain, right? You can feel the pain, but you can't feel the contraction of the muscles. So you want to it's like pretend you want to pretend you're contracting them. You want to like visualize, like, yes, I'm contracting it. I don't feel anything. No feedback from my body. And it's not moving. Right? You want to do that, and that's the best you can do. And you come back to it the next day. You come back to it the next day. You come back to it to the next day until you finally feel something. And you go, oh, just a little bit of something. You get a little twitch or a little something. And you go, it's still alive, right? It's like, and it's, you crawl your way out of it one day at a time, and it's extremely painful and scary. So what the takeaway, the video, I'm just sharing it informationally, because it's not taught in school and because it's useful. This kind of scenario shouldn't exist and should be prevented in a healthy society. So, the takeaway is, don't let this ever happen to anyone, to yourself or anyone. Don't allow this to happen. The other thing is, the mind has a really, especially some people who tend to focus on, cling on to one thing for long periods of time. You can do that, and you can get really good at something, but you don't want to really focus on something for so long and neglect the body at the same time. You really never want to lose touch with your body. You never want to lose touch with your body, and you really should take the time to feel what you're feeling. I can say that the engineering of the body, it's designed a certain way, but it's not designed to necessarily tell you everything. You really have to listen. And there are times when I don't feel any signal, even though sometimes you feel pain and sometimes you don't, and it doesn't necessarily mean there isn't a problem there. If you feel pain, there's a problem. But if you feel, you're like, oh, I don't feel anything, but there's a big knot in there, and eventually it turns into pain. But, depending on where it is, you may or may not feel pain, depending on where, what your connective tissue is doing. You may or may not feel pain. So what I'm doing in this process is I'm hunting for the bad spots of the day, and I'm going for a stretch in that area. And I'm recording memories. I'm recording what I find and say, okay, because day to day, it's not going to move a lot, but it's going to move slightly. So I'll be working on the same spot 3, 4, 5 days in a row, and then I may have to go with the flow here, because I can't. It's hard to explain if you haven't felt it, but my body's like fucking, knotting up in certain different areas. The knots. I get stuck spots over here, and I work through them, and then I get stuck. It moves up. It shifts my posture by itself. So I have to kind of, I hunt for a spot, I work on it, I pay attention to how things develop, and then a new problem will form, right? As I release one thing, usually something else becomes obviously wrong, and I didn't feel it before. So it's like I work on one thing, I release the tension in the area. It releases the pain in the area, and just as I'm doing that, my body shifts and now there's a new pain somewhere. Usually it'll go high, low, high, low. I'll have headaches, and then I'll go through periods where I don't have headaches because of the way my tissue is held. My head is wrong always. It's not correct. My back is locked up in my mid back and stuff. So my head's being held incorrectly. But depending on how it's being held, it can either easily trigger headaches or I can get by without them for some time. But earlier in my battle, there was none of that. It was headaches constantly, and there was no escape, and that was torture. It was absolute torture. So getting past that point was it allows me to talk better. It allows me to, think better. It allows me to, like, okay, I'm not fucking trapped. I'm still trapped in a cage, but it's a bigger cage now. That's the difference. It's a bigger cage. It's not, the window is a little bit larger. The breathing room, there's a little more breathing room. But it's still got me. I have to get out of this, and there's a lot to get through here. So I don't recommend doing this. If you ever have pain, don't ignore it and take it seriously. Because the body does not, sometimes you get injured and then, it's like a few days later, the pain goes away and you go, oh, the body fixed it, it healed, right? But it's not exactly a good way to look at it. Is the body, healing it, makes it sound like it's completely repaired, and it's as if it never happened, or it's as if it's the same as it was before the injury. No. You take an accumulation of stuff over lifetime, and you have postural deformities and stuff, and you start getting weird pain. And it can be quite unpleasant, and it can get really bad, and the body loses its ability to cover up for that pain. It runs out of space. It runs out of, it'll compensate, but it still hurts. And people say, well, I have aches and pains here. Sometimes it's here, sometimes it's here, right? It's compensating, but it's not fixing it. You have to really listen to the body and take care and stretch. People talk about diet and stuff. I think that's, I don't want to say it's not as important. I guess, I don't want to say that, because any added inflammation, any added stress to the body is going to be a problem. So keeping things easy on the body is better. What else? But like I can't walking and running around or trying to force my body to do these things is not a good idea. It doesn't. I've tried. I've experimented, but it's the way my body is. It's like you're not fixing the problem. I do it sometimes anyways, even though I'm not. I already know it's not really helpful. I do it anyways, just in case. It's like I do it for mental part of the game. I do it for build my confidence and test. I do it for diagnostic purposes. Let's see how I do now. And it does get your circulation going, so maybe there's some positive effect, but really pushing, is just going to add to the stiffening. But you have to push through the stretches. Those are really going to help. Slow stretches, deep. I mean, it's deep in that you have to really listen to the body, and that's what happens when your body's really fucked up. You have to go deeper and deeper. You have to really listen, because everything will be screaming at you, and you say, well, who needs it the most today, right? It's like juggling, lots of problems. You have to prioritize. So yeah, even I'm surprised how long this takes. I knew it was going to take a while because I could feel how bad my body felt. Actually, I wasn't even sure if I could beat it at all, but I'm gaining confidence over time. So I'm winning. I think I'm winning the battle because the pain is, it's getting easier. Pain is decreasing. So I consider that progress. But 4 years is a long time, right? So I mean, we're not quite 4 years, but it's it's really a long time to work on something every single day and get this very slow, gradual progress. But the starting point was extreme. This is not normal, right? This is extreme. This is what happens when you ignore your body. You keep forcing, you keep pushing through, hoping that the body will take care of itself, but it doesn't. This is the end result. It gets worse. You have trouble going to the bathroom. You have pain everywhere. I mean, you have pain in your stomach. You have this like heavy amounts of pressure, and it can be debilitating. It can be debilitating, and it'll just keep getting worse and worse and worse. And you don't want these problems. You get dizzy. You get all kinds of problems, right? And if you go to the doctor, at least where I am, the medical community is so disconnected from the reality of this problem that they don't even give you good information, let alone help you with the problem. They just ask, really stupid questions, which I don't know why they ask them. I don't know why they do it like that. It's very, very much disconnected with what is needed, and our society as a whole is very disconnected with the needs of the body, the human body. On the one hand, everyone is juggling their own human body, and therefore they have a responsibility as it is. I mean, you're not chosen. We didn't choose this life. We didn't choose to be stuck in this stuffy body or whatever. We have a mind. We have the ability to think. We have the ability to process things logically with practice. But when it comes to understanding how to operate the body, there's no manual. There's no instruction. You learn from your environment. People. A lot of times people who have problems, their families has the same problems, say, oh, it's just genetic. And it's like, well, it's, it's a lot of it is learned behavior. A lot of it is just, you're not understanding correctly, and you're passing the bad information on to the next generations and the people around you. And it's, man, that's really bad, right? That's really an unhealthy society. So these problems have to get solved. There's no question about it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It almost seems like people are just waiting for the disease, the human disease, to take over and wipe us out or something. Like, I don't, when I look at other people, granted, I don't, there's billions of people and there's no way I could possibly interact with all that. But, when I look at people, it's like, man, you don't have any clue. It's like, and there's no urgency to do anything but try to enjoy time as best as possible. And unfortunately, we don't have a society. Just people talk about our society, but it's not even a functioning thing. It's not healthy. So I don't know. It's it makes life, it makes life unpleasant for me as well. So I mean, it just seems like I've seen people express their emotions, and I've seen the intelligence, the possible intelligence of a human being, and then I look at what we built and how our society functions, and I think we suck. It's like, this is terrible. And part of it is my way of seeing, right? It's not everyone sees the world the same way, right? People have their own filters or whatever. But yeah, it's hard for me to think any other way at this point. I mean, it's really because my I'm aging, but it's it's my condition makes it harder for me to add new things to my memory bank, and it seems like I just forget other things. And I don't know. I mean, what it's actually like to remember just about everything. I mean, I think to some degree you do remember, you just can't retrieve it. And I'll say that stretching the body has this it has this effect where it brings about old memories, or it makes me remember something. I don't know what that is. I don't know. There is some connection with the mind and the body and the way we store memories. I don't know what that is, but we suck at communicating, and we suck at helping people. I mean, people talk a lot. People talk a lot, but it's not the same as really communicating. I mean, I just carry a lot of garbage that people gave to me, and it makes me feel like it's destroyed me. And I think the mind battles and the body battles destroyed me. But all I'm doing is trying to fix it. So I have problems here, like bad problems that I'm trying to get fixed the next couple of weeks. And I don't know, the guy said, the dentist said, it looks like I was like hit in the face, injured, fell on my face or something. The way that the infection is, and the way that, like it's unusual. He said it looks like something happened there, some trauma happened there. And yeah, I don't have an explanation for that, other than my body is stuck in chronic pain. And I don't know the reason for that either, but this kind of infection stuff, this drainage, the natural drainage of the body is impaired by your connective tissue when things are stuck. Your body's ability to function as intended is greatly impaired, and you become less efficient. For instance, I drink Pepsi. I drink cans of Pepsi, and I do it because it gives me a little bit of a caffeine, but a little bit of sugar caffeine rush. But it also, I use it for diagnostics, because I know that it's not particularly easy on the body. The body has to kind of work a little bit to get rid of it. It's not healthy. My stomach will get sick if I have too many. But I can go by, I can kind of tell how I'm feeling based on how much I'm drinking, right? Obviously, a dietitian is going to say, well, I mean, don't drink Pepsi. It's not good for you, right? It's like, well, all right. But, you got to do what you got to do to get out of this. So it's, ideally, I agree, but I can really feel it. So I like that part, right? I like that I can feel it. And if I get sick, it tells me something about my body. It tells me that it can't handle it. And I can go by the amount. I had 1 can, I had 2 cans, I had 3 cans, right? I don't do 3 cans typically because I find that 2 is the limit. But I'll say that depending on the configuration of my connective tissue, my body, depending on how I'm being held on a given day, my body may be able to handle more or less, right? It's not the same. It's not the same every day. But it's the same for a while, and then something changes, and then, oh, that got better. I can actually drink more without getting sick. Before, not only would I get sick, but I would feel like build up in my skin, in my tissue. I go, man, I feel sticky, I feel the sugar, in my skin, right? And it all depends on how my body is filtering or eliminating the waste materials. So the toxic buildup will continue to build up until you stop, right? So that's what would happen is I would drink it, it would build up, and I feel like really gross. I'm like, all right, I have to stop. And I'd stop and drink water. I'd let it flush out for a few days. So I can kind of tell like how my body's doing diagnostic like that. I'm not saying I recommend that. I'm just saying that diet does have an effect on the body, and depending on how your body is held, this is the interesting part, is how efficient or inefficient it is at cleaning itself. So if you have like a lot of, like other conditions, rashes, itchiness, pimples, or, you just feel, I don't know, you can kind of feel gross, this could all be based on your posture, and stretching can fix your problem. Just adding stretching to your routine, and take the time to really fucking do this slow stretches. Sorry. I take the time to do these slow stretches, can potentially fix your problem. I mean, a lot of marketing is geared toward these unexplainable conditions of the body. A lot of marketing says, "Oh, do you have acne? Do you have well, try this cream, try this drug," right? And so many of this stuff that people have is preventable by doing your own regular maintenance on your body, which is, a lot of it is stretching. And the common theme that I've seen walking through this world is that not a lot of people take the time to stretch, and a lot of people need to. And, people have this, tough, I'm going to deal with this toughness attitude, push through it, do your job, have this mentality that I'm going to live, even if it's wrong, I'm going to live this way. But I mean, you're making you potentially are making your life harder than it needs to be. And there are ways to get relief just by taking the time to stretch. I know it's not a common thing because your mind is, look at, from when you're young, they tell you to look over here, look at the textbook, look at now it's computer screens, right? Computer screens, phones, tablets. But, before that, books, right? Sit straight, stare at the teacher, right? You're conditioned a certain way. And it's not necessarily healthy. And if you're missing some things that are good for your body, then it's neglect. So the system we live in actually sucks at preventing these problems and may actually be creating them in many cases. So, when you realize that, it's really sad. It's hard to deal with the knowing of this because you still feel helpless to it. But you have to take care of yourself before you can help other people. And if you're going to help other people, you have to keep taking care of yourself alongside at the same time to prevent inefficiencies, to prevent, toxic buildup in the body is supposed to be eliminated by the body. Now, we're all losing the battle through the process of aging. But slowly, right? If some tragedy doesn't happen to us, then we can live a long life, and better to not have a difficult life, right? So I'm just saying, based on my understanding, my observation, my experience of walking through high stress and high pain, that is not good. It's not even a little bit good. And there's no good, the only good you can get out of it is understanding how bad things get, That's the only good you can get out of it. You get a little taste of the engineering of the body. Say, oh, so that's what you're doing, It's like, oh, there's the boundaries, right? You're learning the boundaries. You're learning how it works despite what you understand about the world, right? It's like, I think I am educated, I think I'm smart, but bad things are happening to me, and I feel bad all the time, and I don't know how to beat it, even with all my intelligence, right? It's a tough. It's life is tough that way, you know. So I'm just saying that the school system should be preventing this, should be teaching this, should be helping people understand, and the professional world should be helping people with maintain their life, helping people. But it's really amazing to me to sit here and look at the world the way that it is set up now. Granted, I can't see everything. In fact, what I can see is so small, it's kind of a joke. But still, even so, it's amazing to me to say, how can you be this bad? How can you allow such a thing? How can you not try to fix these problems? So I understand being stuck. I understand being afraid. I understand, not having a physical capability of doing it, but it needs to be done because these scenarios continue to happen if there's no process in place for preventing them. And that's all I can say. And I'll probably say that the rest of my life. It'll probably be predictable for me because there's nothing more important, Instead of spreading fear and saying, "Oh, this person's sick, let's stay away from them," we should be trying to help them. We should be trying to fix these problems. Instead of bragging, instead of advertising that we do such great things for other people, we should really, take a step back and say, do we really? And maybe we shouldn't advertise. Maybe we shouldn't waste time bragging when we could be helping somebody. Maybe we should build our system so that people have the ability to connect and to help freely, instead of scrutinizing people who want to help, or saying that help doesn't look that way, it looks like this, right? Because at the end of the day, we are all judged by the people that didn't make it, the people that died, the people that went out the hard way for no good reason other than no one cared. And so I think that should be the standard. That should always be the standard. But having said that, there's lots of people fighting battles today, now, 5 minutes from now, tomorrow, right? There's lots of people fighting these battles. And, I think it comes down to how we treat our children, how we raise our children, and, what exactly are we trying to accomplish by putting them through a school system? What exactly are we trying to accomplish? But that's just my 37 years of walking around. But I kind of anticipate that things are going to be repetitive for me going forward, just because I have no message to send that's any different. And I don't know what the purpose of existing is if not to send the message. I mean, I don't know. What is the point of life? I don't know. I just know that I don't like unnecessary suffering, and That's it. But of course, if we fail to communicate, then it's going to be a hard time solving our problems. I guess people say have faith in humanity, and I guess I don't really know what that means. I guess it just means we're here to walk the path, and whatever change is needed will happen eventually, whether or not it's in our lifetime. Even if we're here to just observe the horrors of the world, you know, you can help. You can help people. You can try to help people. I don't have any instruction. I just have the message that it has to get fixed. That this stuff really is bad. And I think that we're better than this. I think we're smarter than this. I think, we have to fix our society. I mean, there's more I can talk about from my mental health battles too, but I'm not really talking about that. I'm really focused on the pain battle here, and I applied for Social Security disability November 2022, right? It's end of September, almost October 2025. So we're damn near 3 years, right? I had to do a phone hearing with a judge, and the judge requested a second hearing. I don't know why. No information was provided about the reasoning. No reasons were provided at all. No communication from the judge other than the generic communication letterheads from Social Security Administration through the mail is all I received. And it leaves me in the dark, wondering how long this process is going to go on for. And I already have that battle with the pain. I don't really need that with Social Security. What I need is for people to help me. What I need is that money that was promised to me so that I could start walking through the system and trying to get people to help me no matter what it costs. Right, so, but what has happened is I waited 3 years, right, since I applied. It's almost 3 years now, and I got nothing from the judge. She wanted to have a second hearing, and I did not attend the hearing. I refused to attend. I declined to attend, and I got no communication from her or Social Security Administration other than the phone call that day or the day before about my hearing. I got nothing. I've had no communication. That hearing was August 7th, right? So we're the 29th, 30th. Yeah, it's the 29th today, almost October. So 29th of September. I have no communication. So I don't know what they're doing other than showing me their process is really terrible and slow and, damn near hopeless. So, I don't know what the point of doing that is. It's like, you show a disabled person, the problems of the world. It's like, all right, but a disabled person's not going to be able to fix it. It's like, I'll remember it, in case I get better. It's true, I can possibly recover. But my experience working, any job that I've worked in my working career, is that there is no way to make change. The way we structure things is the leadership is on top. And the pay structure is that way, and the chain of command is that way. Whether or not people truly follow those, I don't know, but it's hard to get people to really listen from the perception that they can just fire you anytime. And you have to scramble looking for another job, the shit pay, and you're dealing with a lose situation. You're dealing with something that's really, it's going to take more than just one to fix. So the Social Security telling me how bad they are is like, well, even if I worked for you, I wouldn't be able to fix the problem unless I was an inspector general, unless I was the head of Social Security. Then I would start cleaning it up as quickly as possible, right? And people would come after me because they don't want change, but change is needed, right? So it's easier when you have the position of authority, from my perspective, but I guess not everyone agrees with that. But what can you really do? What can one really do? I don't know, but I'm doing everything I can. Am I doing as quickly as possible? Maybe not, but I'm focused on my pain battle. I'm trying to fix it. I will share anything. If anyone ever asks me a question on YouTube, I can answer it at any time. But a lot of people, they ask questions that, it goes nowhere, Questions that, I don't think people really ask me. They'll ask me like personal things they're curious about. Or they ask me like, about what kinds of things do you like, type of questions. What hobbies and what, like, none of that matters, right? None of that matters. It just drives me nuts, It's like, no, we need to start fucking fixing these problems. But, you should enjoy life, but the problem is it's not possible for everyone the way we are doing things. So it has to become possible, and you'll have to do the best you can, and that's it. That's it. Causing harm to others should be avoided, and causing harm to self should be something that you work on regularly. But doing the best you can for fixing the problems is essential. But yeah, life is tough. It is from my perspective. It feels like somebody takes what I think and takes what I say and then uses the information to make my life more difficult. It just feels that way. I don't know if it's true, but it's just like, how much time must go by for the same patterns? It's just like, why would you think that this is good? Why would you think that me walking this path is good for anybody? It's like, well, it's not about you. There's other people. I know there's other people, but you're not helping them either. You know, they're coming to my group and saying, I have problems, right? You know, so I don't know. It's, it's bad, right? So, yeah, I don't want to talk about my mental. I don't want to talk about those battles yet. There's a lot to say there. That'll be more my focus once I get out of this. Although I don't really, I don't know. It's a long battle. I have to take it one day at a time, and what I decide to do after I feel like I can function again will happen when it happens, you know. But the hospital system is bad, but volunteering doesn't necessarily help the problem. You know, I like to have the freedom to help people my way without any criticism or judgment or any any interference. I mean, you can help, you can work with me, but I don't want judgment from anybody. I've lived that. I've gotten comments, I've gotten glances, I've gotten, you know, faces, you know, people say everything. I've heard everything from, you know, and it didn't work. It didn't help me. I mean, you just kept me on guard and I got nothing to guard. Just guarding myself my whole life. My body's fucking stuck this way. You know, that's all you created. It's because you did this to me with no purpose, with no second thought, with lack of understanding. Because you had bad guidance, you had weak guidance, you had weak teachers. And that's our system, right? That's why these things happened. And I'm telling you, it can't be this way. It can't be this way. I can say it many different ways. I can be really angry. I can be really funny, you know, try to be nice. I don't like to be angry because it's more stress on the body, although I do sometimes just to fucking, you know, clench my muscles a little bit. You know, just send a little signal through my body. It might help, it might not. I don't know, but I do it anyways. You know, I try to do things like a lion, you know, where he just tears the shit out of everybody all at once, type of thing. That's my style. I try to do things like that. Although I'm irritated all the time, so I don't know. But usually I explode all at once. They tell you not to do that, but that's my style. I mean, nobody likes when somebody explodes on them. I understand, you know. It's like, whoa, what the fuck was that, you know? But whatever. I don't talk to people. I don't really explode on people unless they really push my buttons, and I will explode. But I have a very good conceptual understanding of my situation, my life, and what I'm dealing with in my body here. I don't know the best way to beat it. I don't know why this happened or how to explain it very well, but I can feel it, and I know where I am in my progress, and I know what types of things I can handle and what I can't. But Social Security, I mean, for whatever reason, they're hanging on to my money, and I consider it to be, you know, what everybody else said already. The government is fraudulent and criminal or whatever, you know, a bunch of things. Any way you look at it, it's a failed process, a failed system. It doesn't serve the purpose that it was intended to serve, and nothing is substituting for that either. So It must be destroyed. Stretch my arm a little bit. Yeah, my arms hurt. A lot of things hurt, but it's better than it was. I'll tell you. I'll tell you that progress has been made. I'm just not out of disability mode. I can sit in one spot for longer. I have to squirm and change my positions and stretch, and stand and lie and all day long still. But I can I can I can hang out in one spot for longer. Have different symptoms day to day. Sometimes, I have sciatica going down my legs. I pushing the way that I sit or whatever. But it's only temporary. It's only for a few days like that or a week like that, and then it's like, okay, it moved off of that. I'm trying to get it to stretch out into my low back and into my mid back, and then it's gonna move the way I stand and the way my head is stuck. My head's still stuck. My neck is stuck. Like, it appears, that I can do this, but it's in here. It's the mid back connecting to my neck. That big trap there that goes in there. So, and I can't access it until these other things move, and that's the battle. You cannot stretch whatever you want. You have to stretch whatever is needed. And when it finally gives, then it opens up the ability to access new areas. And usually there's a new pain sensation somewhere as well that you can now feel. Now, you might feel it because there's pressure on the area, or, but I don't know exactly. You can't always feel pressure either. I don't know. It's strange. Like, some things seem like they're more relaxed, but then you get a stretch out of there and you're like, whoa, I didn't even feel that in there. Holy crap. I didn't even feel it. So, yeah, it's a discovery thing. It's an exploration thing, and it's a slow battle. But progress is being made. Again, the takeaway is, don't allow this to happen to anyone or yourself. Take pain seriously. I mean, it can be complicated trying to figure out how to solve these problems. Medical is not very helpful. Even the MRI, which is, one of the better diagnostic scans that exist. It's a cool piece of technology because you can't see this stuff. You can only feel it. So if you can see it, maybe you can understand what's going on. It gives you some clues, but you still can't see everything. And for my specific condition, you basically don't see it, but it's extreme. I mean, it's severe. You can see there are some problems, but that doesn't necessarily, tell me 100% that it's a disability or whatever. But maybe there's more information that can be interpreted from an MRI that the medical community isn't aware of. But I also just suspect that it's not enough of a scan to be able to really see what's going on. So, yeah. So, these are tough battles. I mean, these are tough battles. It's hard on the mind. It's hard on the body. They're two separate. I mean, you have to have some kind of mental toughness. You have to be able to to handle this. And you have to keep working on it. You can't let your body, you can't be addicted to your body's sensation. And I think a lot of people are trapped in that. They find comfort in the sensations that are less painful or more comfortable. You know, when the body moves, you go, "Oh, I'm just gonna stand like this," or whatever. You know, I'm just gonna start doing this with my shoulder. Right? It's easier that way. But I did that sort of thing, and I was like, my shoulder's always nagging me, so I just pull back on it and just consciously kind of tug on it. But it still got worse anyways, because it's more than my shoulder that needs the attention, you know? It was more than that, you know? So, yeah, you kind of cheat your way through it. It doesn't work. You have to actually sit there and stretch and train the body to hold you differently. And the tissue will stretch. It's just, it's tough. Like it doesn't want to go at first, and it hurts at first, and it's slow to adapt at first, but you just keep coming back to it, and you just keep working it. But again, I don't even know what my condition really is, and I don't really know what's happening in my body, so I'm just trying to fight my way out of it. And you know, once I get to a point where I don't think I'm at a disabled condition where I could still do things. I could still, you know, go to a job and even get, you know, work a full week or whatever. Once I get to that point, I have to, I've already done that before, right? I've already had pain problems in the past, and I addressed them. And then I went back to work, and it just got worse. It got extremely worse, you know. It took a while, you know, it took, 5 years or so before it really got noticeably severe. It just kind of crept up on me, you know, and I don't know what that is, but I don't know how to explain that, but what I need now that I know that it does that, I need to figure out how can I prevent it from happening. What else? Maybe I didn't stretch enough things, maybe I didn't go deep enough, maybe I needed something in my spine to move or something. Maybe my neck needed to move, maybe something else, maybe the low back injury didn't heal or whatever. So these are things that I have to try to figure out before I even go back to work, because it's just stupid to do that. It's stupid to push your body through that knowing it's gonna fucking get worse. I'll be fighting against time. Unfortunately, our jobs are not designed to be ideal for the body. A lot of them are hard on the body. You don't get break time. You don't get a lot of time to sit there and stretch. And, by the end of the day, your body's in agony. You can't stretch your way out of it. There's not enough time. You have to go to sleep. You have to come back, do it again tomorrow. And it's too taxing on the body. And then you'll never work your way out of it. You're just losing this battle here. So yeah, so basically that's once I get to that point, I'll be much happier. I think it'll bring relief, but I have to go deeper and try to figure out my neck, try to figure out all these other is a low back injury improving? I'd probably get another MRI just to see if it has changed or how it has changed, just to give me an idea. use the scans to give you an idea of, because you can see through change. You can kind of paint a picture through change, point you in a direction. So it's better than nothing, right? It's better than just guessing and trying to feel it, because your body doesn't let you feel everything all at once. And you can't remember everything all at once. So life is challenging that way. I don't know. You do the best you can with your environment, and that's all there is environment. And that's the difference between human and human, right? I think that's the difference between one individual and another, is how they were raised in their environment. I mean, you can process things logically, but it's a lot of work, and you probably only do that if you have a really good reason to do that. Like in my case, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm trying to figure out how to fix it, but the way I went about fixing it before was not correct. So I'm spending my whole life trying to fix basic problems that I didn't create myself. It's things that I did what other people told me to do, and this happened to me, and nobody had an answer. Nobody had a fucking answer. They said things and there was information there, but it didn't lead to any solution, and it was just like, it's tragic. It's tragic when that is the case. It's tragic when that is the case. So, but that's the difference between individual and individual is, what do you know? What did you learn? What do you carry? Obviously, you can be born with conditions, right? So, right, there's that too, right? And not everyone's body is exactly the same, I mean, apart from some structure and appearance, like skin color and stuff. Apart from that, the way that the spine is the same, intention, the engineering's the same, but things, you can have injuries, or you can just grow weird, you can just come out the womb weird, and you have these little micro injuries that are, unique from or distinct from another person. So trying to treat these problems is a real challenge, and our society, our culture is really bad at it. So it goes without saying, this has to be fixed. It has to be resolved. But I think people in general are wasting time doing stupid jobs when they should be learning how to help people. Chiropractic, is not a bad thing to practice, to just get the feel for things, but it's only scratching the surface of treating somebody. Chiropractic is just getting the feel for things, right? It's just not a known skill for many people, and I think we would be better off if it was a known skill. So yeah, so that's my update. I'm waiting for the final decision on my Social Security, and if it's a denial after 3 years, that'll be really really bad, really unfortunate. You know. So that's all I can say. I mean, there's nothing else to report. It's just, it's all evidence of a failed system, just like my entire life has been evidence of a failed system, right? I haven't died yet, but I've been hurting a long time. No one cares. You know, it's hard to communicate with people because people will say, "Well, you don't talk the way I expect you to talk," or whatever, and then you can never get on the same page. And people are like, "I don't know if I trust this person." I go, "I don't care." It's like I'm the one that needs help. But then people, what is help, right? People have different ideas of what help means. And the problem is, this society is, a lot of people have um, health issues, and there are no answers. It's just becoming normalized to get sick, and to be sick, and it's terrible. I mean, it's tragic. But that's why, instead of wasting time going to school learning about um, things that we're not using, we should be learning about things that we need to stay healthy. But of course, you know, a human is capable of lying. A human is capable of saying things that are not true. So, if anything, school provides you with the ability to question, what is really happening. But it doesn't matter. You still can get sucked into anything pretty easily, because your need for acceptance, your need for care is greater than anything else that you can give. And yeah, this is just me explaining things that people have their own way of seeing, and I don't want to interfere with that. But I just want to leave that message. And hopefully things are not difficult in my life as I get older. That's my hope, and I intend to make it that way. So anybody that gets in my way is really, especially as I regain my ability to do things, I can use my intelligence for a lot of things, right? I could use it. I could be just as much of a pain in the ass as people have been to me. But I don't want to, because I carry the pain in my ass and my back and my neck and arms and legs and feet and everything, and my teeth, right? So, I hope I can get my teeth infections to clear up, right? I think partially this is because my jaw is not being held correctly, and my connective tissue is fucked up. So my body's ability to eliminate disease is impaired, right? Although I haven't really been too sick. I mean, I haven't been all that sick, just COVID the one time. I'm just not. I'm not doing. I'm not doing that well otherwise. I just think it's a body's inefficiency. Plus, there is stuff that has to get out of there by the dentist. I think the mouth is a tough area to clear out infection anyways. The body sucks at that anyways, but mine especially. So if I'm starting to feel pain down here, there's probably something going on down here too. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm transitioning into this upper body pain now. I don't know if my headaches will return or not. Sometimes they come back and then they go away and all right, I think I've said too much information, but just want to make sure it's a complete update. All right, I'll see you on the next one, whenever the hell that is. See you.